What's up guys, my name is Jellycat5 and welcome to the Chelsea vs Servette review. Before we do get into this episode, it'd be much appreciated if you're able to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification button so you never miss a video. So, as predicted, we managed to get the score right of Chelsea 2, Servette 0. Nothing exciting, nothing to really shout about, but a victory going into the second leg, which is a big factor to our game. Servette actually did display some decent opportunities, to be honest, having 22 shots compared to Chelsea's 14. Possession was quite dominant for Chelsea with 59% overall in the 41%, but very surprising to see the amount of shots that Servette would be able to kind of offload with the defence that we had today. Obviously, I'll talk with the players that we did play in further time. 634 passes compared to 438 passes, so fairly kind of simple on that side. But yeah, really surprising to see the amount of shots Servette did complete. The goals were from Nkunku penalty and a Noni Madueke finish. Also, in terms of the actual game itself, it was just nothing really exciting whatsoever. It was very tame. The first half was just absolutely abysmal. Nothing really created whatsoever. The second half did really improve, it has to be said. But yeah, the first half was really poor. And Servette were very sharp at the same time, really getting themselves in the final third. Hats off to Philip Jorgensen for his debut. Seemed to be really good and seemed to be something that we need to be able to kind of get implemented as his first time goalkeeper. And I feel like he's so much better than Robert Sanchez from the 90 minutes that I've already seen. Enzo Maresca did display an attacking lineup, and I will go into that in a bit longer into this particular video. So it's not like he didn't really want the particular victory itself. It just seems to be the players themselves didn't really seem to be up for it for whatever simple reason. I'm not too sure. Happy that we did obviously get a win. Nevertheless, it's obviously hard to be able to kind of judge them with the second game of the season. There's still a lot to learn. Unfortunately, when you do make a lot of rotation, it's always hard to be able to implement a decent system, as you'll find players don't really adjust to it compared to others. So it's really hard to say if it was ever going to come good. But it's a victory nevertheless. It makes the second leg a little bit easier, and I'd like to think they'll be able to kind of play a weaker side for the second leg, also to be able to rest the players for the weekend on the actual Premier League weekend itself. So happy that we've got a result. Not exactly happy in the way that we've got it, but it's a step in the right direction, it has to be said. It's one off the mark for Enzo from Maresca's Blues to be able to kind of get themselves a couple of goals under their belt and go from there. We're never going to be perfect as a team and so on, so let's see on our player ratings and let's get straight into that one. This is the side that Enzo Maresca did face in the 4-2-3-1 formation previously used against Manchester City. A simple formation, a formation that we've used for a fair few seasons now, so we're sticking the same in that way. Went for Jorgensen in goal, so a change compared to Robert Sanchez. Badiashile and Tosin making his debut, as well as Vega making his full debut. Disasi favoured on the right-hand side with Dewsbury Hall making a full debut alongside Caicedo. And Nkunku, Mudryk, Neto with a full debut, and Mark Gui with a full debut. Just noting that with how many players have made a debut, how actually worrying it is to how many players are actually new to this side, and how concerning how long it might take for these players to bed into the squad. Philip Jorgensen to start off with, a 7.0 rating. A few dangerous efforts from Servette were denied by Philip, and I felt like he felt pretty safe between the sticks in honesty. In the moments that he needed to step in, he stepped in. He did what he needed to do, and that was that. There was no kind of airs and graces around it. It was nothing special, but at the same time he did his job, and that's what we need to have between the sticks. So a 7.0 rating for Philip Jorgensen. Renato Vega seems to be becoming a fan favourite ever since joining from Basel for a small fee. He's played really well and he seems very versatile, it has to be said, and he plays that inverted role really well, being able to drive himself into the middle. His tackling seems very strong and he seems really comfortable at the same time. I would like to see him get further onto the ball and be able to kind of drive a bit more of an attacking option, but defensively he sounds pretty good and he's getting stuck in when needed. Benoit Badiashile, not really good from him at all. Once again, a 5.0 for myself. Just didn't seem to be able to kind of get himself really kind of connected with his teammate Tosin Abriero. Hard to say whether that's going to be the case where it's going to be the sense of all season, but his clearances and everything else has seemed really shoddy. Nothing about his game really kind of says to me that he's a top player. Compared to his first season in the blue shirt, it's a complete drastic change. I think the injuries have really caught up with Benoit and he just doesn't seem to be the player that we'd originally bought. Hopefully that will come in time, but I can see see this if he has a poor season to him exit in the future. Tosin made his debut. Not really much to be able to say. Dealt with the crosses, commanded the box. Not really much else to say with a 6.0 rating for Tosin. Was positive, nothing negative to say, which is the main thing. So onwards and upwards for Tosin. Disasi a 5.0. I just don't really seem to say why he was putting on the right hand side. I know he wanted to be able to give a risk for Malo Gusto, but is this the reason why we should have been signing someone to be able to go for a backup? Because Disasi got played in that position last season and he was terrible. And this, again, he just doesn't seem suited for that role whatsoever. So a simple 5.0 for Disasi. Going into the midfield, and we're going to start with the captain, Caicedo, today. He led the team out for the first time in his Chelsea career, and he looks pretty good this season, I have to be said. He just looks like he's ready. He knows what to do. He controls the middle of the park. He sets himself in that role really perfectly, and I do think someone like Romeo Lavia will really partner him well in being able to go on future in the actual season itself. So an 8.0 rating for Moises Caicedo, who would be my man of the match. And Dewsbury Hall partnered him today. He looked very fast. He looked energetic. He looked like he wanted to do something on the ball when he did receive it, but just that final bit, that final pass, it doesn't really seem to kind of go out for Dewsbury, it has to be said. I'm not too sure if he's going to be in that some position. I don't know if he's going to be played in more of an attacking role. He did find some fairly good positions in the game itself, but say just didn't really seem to come to anything. So more to come from Dewsbury Hall, but only a 6.0 rating. Pedro Neto, a 6.0 rating, his full debut for Chelsea in this particular game. Nothing really offered. Obviously, he's got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of options where he can get himself into a good position, but it just didn't really seem to kind of see that. Obviously, we might do in time, but at least he got some decent game time under his belt, but only a 6.0 for myself of Pedro Neto. Same goes for Nkunku. He might have converted the penalty, but apart from that, I didn't really see him do anything else. Looked really out of place, it has to be said. I know Maresca wants to suit a particular profile for the system, but I just don't see him in that sort of way. Christopher Nkunku is a player for the future, it has to be said, and he's a player for now because of the capabilities that he has got. It's just whether Maresca is going to get the best out of him. Mykhailo Mudryk, it was nice to see him in a Chelsea shirt today, and I wish him the best, but I just don't see it happening for himself. A 5.0, just really couldn't struggle to have an impact. Made some really good runs, was really direct in his play, but at the same time, every shot he seemed to have and every pass he seemed to create, nothing came to it whatsoever. Loose passes, poor shots, really needs to get better at his game, and hopefully we'll see that improvement in time, but a 5.0 for myself for Mykhailo Mudryk. Mark Guy getting a 5.0 rating. That probably would be higher if he were to have converted that absolute sitter in the second half. He looked a little bit out of his depth to some perspective because he didn't seem to receive the service that was needed. I felt like it was very tough for himself to get him into the game as an individual and so on. He needs the support of other players around him, and he needs the direct passing, and he needs to make the runs to get back into that. And unfortunately, with him sitting back deeper, that didn't help whatsoever. But it's one of those, it's so hard to judge so early on in the season. Give it 5 to 10 games and then we can kind of get a real retrospect of the season. But as things go at the moment, it's not really looking that good. But hopefully that will change in time. With the substitutions that were made, it was much better for the players itself. Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Malo Gusto, Romeo Lavia all came on as a substitute. Cole Palmer and Noni Madueke making the massive impact. Obviously Noni with a goal. Looked really sharp when he did come on. And I was surprised that he didn't start, in all honesty. And I would have liked to have seen Noni start in my predictions that I did make. A 9.0 rating for Madueke off the bench. I would say Caicedo is my man in the match from the first 11, but as an impact, Noni Madueke definitely looked good. Cole Palmer was involved in pretty much every Chelsea attack going on, and you know he's going to make such a difference. Really happy to see him. Obviously going to get back to normal ways, and hopefully we'll see him onto the goals very soon. Enzo Fernandez, a 6.0 rating. I felt like he was fairly good when he came on. A decent amount of passing. You can see the confidence in him at the same time, but just didn't really have much game time. And for the same for Malo Gusto and Romeo Lavia, just didn't really seem to have that much game time. Was happy to see Enzo make some changes in the second half because they did look like they were struggling in the first for whatever reason. I'm not too sure if that's the system, the team. I'm not too sure, but happy to see that he did make some changes when were needed, and hopefully that will go on even further into the season. But let's not be too cautious as of the moment. It's a 2-0 victory that makes it easier for ourselves in the second leg. Let's hope we can kind of go on even further and seem to do what we can do in this particular season. But that is it for this particular video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification button so you never miss a video. Cheers.